is another huge fallacy. People think that there is some connection between Iraq and Al-Qaeda. There isn't! There isn't! Other than the fact that they happen to both live in the Middle East. That's about it. You know? I mean, and the fact that, Saddam Hussein was an evil person, and Osama bin Laden was also evil, but they weren't friendly with each other. There's no evidence of that. And Bush has kept dropping all these hints. He'd say things like, on September 11th, we learned the necessity of attacking figures like Al-Qaeda and Iraq. As if Al-Qaeda and Iraq are kind of the same thing, and they're not. In fact, there's an article right here. Truth about Al-Qaeda and Iraq, not so simple. In rebuffing calls to bring troops home from Iraq, President Bush on Thursday employed a stark and ominous defense, quote, the same folks that are bombing the innocent people... the same folks that are bombing the innocent people of Iraq, unquote, he said, quote, were the ones who attacked us in America on September the 11th, and that's why what happens in Iraq matters to the security here at home. This also sounds like Vietnam. Those communists are the ones we're fighting over there, and we have to fight them over in Vietnam, so we don't have to fight them here. And it sounds convincing, but as this article says, the truth is not so simple. Let's see. His references to Al-Qaeda in Iraq, yada yada, have greatly oversimplified the nature of the insurgency in Iraq and its relationship with Al-Qaeda. Al-Qaeda, I'll give this, a quote from a newspaper, right? Quote, Al-Qaeda in Iraq did not exist before the September 11th attacks. Al-Qaeda in Iraq did not. There was no Al-Qaeda in Iraq, right? Before, so, apparently they had no relationship before September 11th, alright? And here's the real kicker, it has thrived as a magnet for recruiting and a force for violence largely because of the U.S. invasion in 2003. So, Saddam Hussein and Iraq have no particular connections. I'm sorry. Saddam Hussein and Al-Qaeda have no particular connections. Saddam Hussein and Iraq have every connection imaginable. Saddam Hussein and Al-Qaeda have no particular connections. Al-Qaeda does September 11th all by itself. We invade Afghanistan, okay. Then we invade Iraq, an unrelated entity. And hey, Saddam Hussein was a brutal dictator, but just to be clear, he was an unrelated brutal dictator. We invade there, we cause chaos, Al-Qaeda moves in, and it has an easier time of recruiting people now. Great. And even so, a lot of the insurgents are not Al-Qaeda. I think I've heard statistics, it was like somewhere around 10% like Al-Qaeda fighters, and the rest are just like Sunnis and Shiites that hate each other, Because in that particular part of the world, apparently Sunnis and Shiites have a real grudge. Which, by the way, plenty of religions have. Remember the whole Protestant versus Catholic thing in Ireland for all those years? It's crazy. Completely un-Christian, right? Just like all this stuff is completely un-Muslim, but people do it all the time. Yeah. Yeah, the membership of the militant group is overwhelmingly Iraq. Let's see. Agency and connections. Yeah. I mean, Al-Qaeda's in Iraq, I'll give you that. But they weren't before we invaded. Not really. Nope. Nope. Not true. Look it up. So yeah. Back on point I was on. For the sake of those who have not died, let's bring them home. Huh? Another point. To act, there must be two things. A reason to act, and a responsible plan of action. You could say we had a reason to attack Iraq, weapons of mass destruction. Oh, wait! Turns out we didn't have weapons of mass destruction. Which, granted, in and of itself doesn't influence what our policy should be now, but it should have influenced our policy back then, and casts quite a negative light on Mr. Bush, who insisted there were weapons. And they really didn't exist. Look it up. No, not really. And he keeps changing his. Oh, it was weapons of mass destruction. Oh wait, no, there was the potential for building weapons of mass destruction. Oh wait, no, there was an undemocratic government. Yeah, that's it. Sending us these benchmarks. He doesn't want any benchmarks to measure whether or not he's making progress. You know why? It's because we're not making progress. And when the benchmarks finally do come around, you know, quote from the newspaper, like students complaining about the questions on a test, the Pentagon tried to help the president, arguing that the benchmark tests set by Congress were in fact designed in such a way as to ensure they could never be met. And yeah, you know, I don't particularly trust you on that, Mr. Bush. I don't particularly trust you in general, Mr. Bush. Telling me, you know, we're making great progress, but I can't tell you what kind of progress we're making. I can't give you actual statistics. I can't stand up on a podium and admit that, oh, hey, you know, by the way, the murder rate in Iraq is through the roof. Because people are getting exploded all the time.